Everyone and welcome to Madeira.
This highland sits in the Atlantic Ocean, but it doesn't behave like a typical highland.
Because everything here is vertical, compressed and constantly changing.
In a short drive, you move from deep forest to volcanic cliffs.
From ocean level to mountain ridges above the clouds. In this video you will see a range of different places and experiences across the highland.
So you can decide what to include in your own itinerary.
And in the description of this video you also find a link to download the routes we followed for our hikes.
Let's take a look at the main attractions of the highland, starting from the ones I personally enjoyed the most. Vereda do Areeiro to Pico Ruivo trekking is one of the highest and most exposed hike, but it's one of the most impressive landscapes on the highland. You are walking along the highest ridges of the island.
From here you are often inside the clouds.
Clouds move quickly, sometimes covering everything, sometimes opening completely, and that constant change is part of the experience. Ponta de São Lourenço is where the highland changes completely. It feels like being on a different highland, even though you're still in Madeira.
There are no trees, just rocks and wind.
And the colors shift to brown, red and yellow tones, shaped by volcanic rock.
You walk with the ocean on both sides.
The easternmost point you can reach on foot offers a breathtaking view. The Fanal Forest is an ancient laurel forest, with moss-covered trees that look almost unreal. Most of the time, this place is covered in mist, and that's exactly what makes the atmosphere so special, the perfect setting to admire the twisted and haunting trees of Fanal.
If the fog opens up, the view is incredible.
This walk begins with one of the most spectacular cable car rides in Madeira to reach Fajã Quebrada. At the bottom, the trail follows the coast beneath enormous cliffs. Along the way, you'll pass old garden plots and small cottages.
The landscape here feels harsh, remote and deeply Atlantic.
And then a little sunshine came. After visiting the village, returning to the cable car and continuing beyond it towards the beach, you can start a climb through a gorge nestled between the cultivated terraces and the waterfall. During the ascent, the trail becomes quite demanding, but the reward is the beautiful Vereda da Ladeira. And after hours of hiking, Porto Moniz finally appears below you, surrounded by lava pools and ocean. In Porto Moniz, the beautiful piscinas naturais are worth visiting. Natural pools formed among volcanic rocks facing the small islet of Ilhéu Moli. This hike goes from Porto da Cruz to Boca do Risco, passing through the Miradouro do Cabo Rano.
This is a much longer hike compared to the others.
The trail runs along the cliffs with beautiful views over the rugged coastline. It's a very scenic route, but it can also be quite crowded. On the way back, you can take a higher route across a plateau, where you'll meet far fewer people.
Now you're walking inside a dense forest.
You'll cross areas filled with ferns and subtropical vegetation. This circular walk explores one of the quietest and most rural parts of Madeira, starting from the Farol da Ponta do Pargo, the westernmost point of the island.
Along the way you reach viewpoints overlooking an untouched coastline.
One of these is the dramatic Garganta Funda waterfall, hidden inside a deep green valley. After a long climb, the trail joins the Levada Nova before reaching the chapel of Nossa Senhora da Boa Morte and the Boa Morte viewpoint. The final stretch leads to Pico Vermelho, where the cliffs drop dramatically into the Atlantic Ocean.
This old fisherman's path descends from the cliffs all the way down to the Atlantic Ocean. It's extremely well built and zigzags steeply through dry coastal vegetation and spectacular views. At one point, the trail cleverly crosses an overhanging rock. This is one of the most panoramic spots in Madeira. Near the bottom, a waterfall drops directly from the cliffs into the ocean. The beach at Vereda do Pesqueiro feels like an hidden paradise, with cliffs stretching all the way to the horizon and a dramatic sea stack rising from the ocean. The climb back up is demanding, around 1 hour to gain 500 meters of elevation.
The ER-101 used to be the most spectacular road in Madeira.
This used to be the main road along the north coast. Today, most of the traffic goes through tunnels, but this road is still here and it's much more scenic.
As you follow it, you can see the effect of time. It has been closed for about 20 years. And you can admire several waterfalls, such as Cascata da Ribeira da Pedra Branca. Make sure to stop at the Miradouro dos Balcões as well.
Funchal has a dual soul.
One side there are narrow old streets, churches and gardens. On the other there are the cruise ship terminal and crowds of tourists. I suggest starting your visit by taking the cable car to the Jardim Monte Palace.
Monte Palace is more than a garden, it's a mix of nature and art.
Here every corner feels designed. Then walk to the Jardim Botânico de Madeira, following the route in the video description, and stop for lunch at the Alta Vista restaurant. At the Jardim Botânico, you'll appreciate its colorful green and red garden and its cacti. Then you can reach the city center and visit it. And if you visit Madeira in May, consider that Funchal changes completely during the flower festival. The hike from Boca da Corrida to Pico follows an old Camino Real. At Boca do Céu, take the turn off towards Pico and after a short climb, you will enjoy a great view of Pico rising in front of you.
This is a classic hike in Madeira where you walk at the foot of Pico Grande.
Below, you'll see the village of Curral des Freires. In Rocha do Navio, you start from the top of a cliff and go down almost vertically with the cable car. At the bottom, you can walk towards the Rocha do Navio Highlet, whose name comes from a shipwreck. This is one of the most isolated places in Madeira, with only small cultivated fields and traditional Santana-style houses. And this is one of the steepest coastlines of the island, and going back up is the hardest part. The ruins of St. George are located in a small coastal area with old buildings and a stone arch opening onto the ocean. Crossing the Ribeira de São Jorge river, you can access the Camino Real.
This is an old royal path that people used before modern roads.
Once at the top, the trail follows the edge of the cliff and leads to a viewpoint where you can see the Rocha do Navio highlight and, in the distance, the San Lorenzo Peninsula. This long circular walk explores the wild western coast of Madeira, starting from the fishing village of Pol do Mar. After the coastal road, the trail starts climbing uphill.
Ancient cobbled paths zigzag up the cliffs with dramatic ocean view.
Higher up, the trail reaches the Levada Nova, far from the tourist areas. Once you reach Prazeres, an ancient cobbled trail begins with spectacular viewpoints. You descend through a spectacular gorge made of cavernous volcanic rocks, waterfalls, and ocean views at the bottom. The Chão dos Terreiros trail is a high mountain loop above 1000 meters that starts gently through open grassy hills. Behind you, the valley drops way towards Ribeira Brava.
The landscape here feels wide and exposed. This is one of the most panoramic easy walks in Madeira.
From here you can see Pol da Serra, Boca da Encumeada, Pico Grande and Vereda do Areeiro. On the way down, you'll pass eucalyptus trees and broom shrubs. Rota da Banana starts right next to the village of Madalena do Mar. You walk between narrow passages surrounded by banana trees, and sometimes you even find small stands selling bananas along the way.
And the walk along the promenade right under the cliffs. It's a very relaxing place.
In Ribeira da Janela, you can admire towering volcanic sea stacks rising from the ocean almost like blades of rock. They don't look like simple cliffs, but rather the remains of a collapsed mountain. From here, reach the waterfall along the abandoned old coastal road. Cabo Girão is a cliff dropping about 580 meters straight into the ocean, one of the highest in Europe. You can walk on a glass platform and look directly down at the cultivated fields by the sea beneath your feet. Miradouro do Guindaste has glass walkways extending out from the top of the cliff, along with some beautiful natural viewpoints. It's one of those places where you understand the scale of Madeira without needing to move. To the east, you can see the San Lorenzo Peninsula ending in a natural rock arch. Miradouro dos Balcões is one of the easiest walks you can do in Madeira. The path starts inside a very dense forest and the Levada runs next to you almost the entire time. And then suddenly the forest opens up and you reach the Balcões viewpoint.
From this viewpoint you can see the central mountains of Madeira. Jardim do Mar is one of the most isolated villages in Madeira, pressed between huge cliffs and the Atlantic Ocean. Until the 1960s, the village could only be reached mainly by boat, and even today its narrow streets are almost entirely pedestrian. You'll also find many cultivated gardens spread across the village, which is where its name, Garden of the Sea, comes from.
Just below Cabo Girão, you'll find one of the most charming villages in Madeira, Câmara de Lobos, a still active fishing harbor where colorful boats sway in a narrow bay that even inspired Winston Churchill in his paintings. Here, the atmosphere feels authentic, with fishermen returning with black scabbard fish and traditional taverns lining the waterfront.
This is one of those places you don't come to see something, but to watch life unfold slowly. shaped by the sea and tradition. In Ponta de Sol, start from the viewpoint above the village, where you can see the houses and the coastline at the same time.
Then move down towards the center and the beach to reach a small pier that extends into the sea. Then walk along the old coastal road, passing through a disused tunnel to reach Cascada do Anjo. Return along the same path. Seixal is worth a visit to see its natural pools and maybe even take a swim.
These are natural pools formed by volcanic rocks.
Over thousands of years, arches and basins have formed here, where the ocean water flows in. Arco de São Jorge is a small village with terraces and vineyards, and the ocean far below. It's also home to one of the largest rose gardens in the world.
After moving across the island from the north to the south and then to the west, Madeira doesn't feel like a single destination anymore.
It feels like a sequence of landscapes connected by movement.
This island is not about one specific place.
It's about how quickly everything changes and how each part feels different from the others.
That's end our trip through Madeira. I hope this video helped you understand how to build your own itinerary. If you have found this video useful, subscribe to the channel and see you in the next journey. And don't forget to subscribe to my travel channel.